It's good. Salute, salute. Assalamu alaikum, salute, man. Salute, comrade, salute, revolutionary salute. This is the Underlock and Key Show. This is the Underlock and Key Show that is produced by the Maoist International Ministry of Prisons and presented by the Noble Young Lords Party. All right? So, first and foremost, I'd like to say we also, Noble Young Lords Party also adopts and stands in solidarity with the Communist Party of Puerto Rico as well. And also support and stand in solidarity with the Boricua Popular Army, also stand in solidarity with the Puerto Rican Independence Party and the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party. Any comrades that's for the independence of Puerto Rico. I stand in solidarity with community organizers as for the advancement of our people as a whole. But in political status of Puerto Rico, Borinquen, which means the land of the brave and noble lords, is for independence. All right. So first, let's go with that since that's what I started with, right? So for those who don't know, the original name of Puerto Rico is Borinquen, which means land of the brave and noble lords. Now, a Boricua means a valiant lord. One moment. Doing the live, brother. All right. So, let's get into this right here, right? Now, first we're going to go with the Noble Young Lords Party program. Now, the 10-point platform for the Noble Young Lords Party is the following. Number one, we want communism. We believe that anyone who opposes all oppression and power groups over groups is a communist. This includes opposition to national oppression, class oppression, and gender oppression. Number two, we want socialism. We believe that socialism is the path to communism. We believe that the current dictatorship of the bourgeoisie oppress the world's majority, including internal colonies, parentheses, Black Nation, Caribbean, First Nation, Mexico, Central and South America. We believe that socialism, the dictatorship of the proletariat, which is the people, and peasantry, the working class, the truly oppressed, is a necessary step towards a world without inequality or oppressive dictatorship. We uphold the USSR under Lenin and Stalin from the year 1917 to 1953, and China under Mao Zedong from 1949 to 1976 as models in this regard. This flag in the background stands for the USSA, United Socialist States of America. All right, number three, we want organization. We believe that democratic centralism, the system of unified application of majority decision, is necessary to defeat the oppressors. This system includes organization, leadership, discipline, and hierarchy. The oppressors use these weapons, and we'll use them against the oppressor. By building a disciplined socialist vanguard party, we follow the traditions of comrades Lenin, Mao, and Huey P. Newton, and Pedro Albizu Campos. Number four, we want a united front against imperialism. We believe that the imperialists are waging a World War III against internal Latino nations, Black nations, First Nations, various Asian nations, and the international proletariat and peasantry. We seek to unite proletariat and feminist leadership against imperialism, capitalism, and patriarchy. We believe that the imperialist country working class are primarily a pro-imperialist labor aristocrat. Likewise, we believe that the biological women of the imperialist countries are primarily a gender aristocrat. We'll work with either groups and other reactionary groups to dismantle oppression, but we do not seek strategic unity with them. In fact, we believe that the labor that the labor aristocracy, bourgeoisie, petty bourgeoisie, and imperialist biological women owe reparations to the international proletariat and peasantry. As such, upon winning state power, the international proletariat will be able to open the borders. We believe a dictatorship of the proletariat will be necessary in order that the labor aristocrat will be on the receiving end of this dictatorship until such time that practice is non-oppressive. We want equality of women, spelling WIMMIN. While we have established that imperialist biological women are indeed, by their own general practice, supporters of imperialism, we also recognize that women hold on general a secondary status as opposed to men. Therefore, we unite with the cause of true feminism against patriarchy. We believe that the only true effective way that patriarchy can be eliminated is by concentrating our efforts against the principal contradictions that struggle against the oppressor by the proletariat. The destruction of imperialism and its replacement by the dictatorship of the proletariat is the destruction of patriarchy. We will struggle alongside our sisters in the fight for social and economic equality. Number 6, we want community control of our institutions and lands. We believe in the people's control of our communities and all its programs to guarantee that all institutions serve the needs of our people. This means people's control of police, health service, churches, masjids, schools, houses, and transportation. We believe there should be an end to attacks on our land by urban renewal, gentrification, highway construction, rezoning, waste disposal, industrial pollution, and corporate takeovers of the people's property. Number 7, we want correct adjudication for all political prisoners. We believe that all prisoners, regardless of their crimes, are political prisoners based on the fact that it is impossible for imperialism to create and maintain an objective system of justice. We believe that objective justice can only come from the people. We believe a people tribunal should review the alleged offenses in order to consider the guilt or innocence of the alleged offender. Until such a day comes, we believe that imperialist prisoners are illegally imprisoned. Number 8, we want self-determination for Latino nations, First Nations, Black nations, Asian nations. We believe that our oppressed people, all oppressed people, will not be free until they are able to determine their destinies. We look forward to the day when oppressed people will live without imperialist police terror and will learn to speak their mind without fear of consequences from the oppressor. When this day comes, hold up. When this day comes, meaningful plebiscites can be held in which the peoples will decide for themselves if they want their own separate nation states or some other arrangement. Number 9, we want revolutionary armed struggle. We are opposed to violence, the violence of hungry children, illiterate adults, diseased old people, the elderly, and the violence of poverty and profit. We know that in the third world, the American economy is deadlier than a .38 caliber to the head. Our people have asked, petitioned, gone to courts, demonstrated peacefully, and voted politicians full of empty promises and favors with heavy interest and to be attacked by police officers. Hence, you can see all the documentation during the Black Lives Matter. But we still ain't free. We believe that the oppressors will not give up their power without a fight. Ending oppression is only possible by building public opinion to seize power through armed struggle. We believe, however, that armed struggle in the imperialist countries is a serious strategic mistake. Right? You got to operate within the law and know what you're saying. You know what I mean? Therefore, security you could do legally. Militias you could do legally. Self-defense groups you could do legally. Constitutional right. Alright? And if you're formerly incarcerated, and if you've been out of prison for at least 10 years, you could apply for your certificate of conduct, certificate of good conduct, and getting a certificate of good conduct, right? Basically get your rights restored, and then you could get a gun license. All right. On the federal, you got to apply to the ATF, the Bureau of the ATF. Know what I'm saying? Then they're gonna put your application on hold. Why they put your application on hold? There's already a case law on that, by the individual named Bean, and he basically sued because he's saying it's there's not due process. What happened was the ATF put in a little clause or a policy to therefore bypass any type of judicial review of any application, because they're saying they're not denying the applications, but they can't look at the applications, so therefore they will mail you back the applications. So therefore, I know in New York State it's easy just to put a certificate of good conduct after 10 years, and it's like that all around. After 10 years to put in for your expungement and put in for your certificate of good conduct to get your restorations of your rights back. Restorative justice. All right, let me get back to this. It says, demonstrate peace. All right, but we still ain't free. We believe that the oppressors will not give up their power without a fight. Ending oppression is only possible by building public opinion to seize power through armed struggle. We believe, however, that armed struggle in the imperialist countries is a serious strategic mistake until the bourgeoisie becomes really helpless. Revolution will become a reality for North America as the U.S. military becomes overextended in the government's attempts to maintain world hegemony. In addition, revolution, the first stage of revolution is a revolution of the mind. Revolution means change, so therefore you have to change your mind. Also in the Quran it says, Allah will not change the condition of the people till the people change the condition within themselves. So you have to change the condition in your mind. Now I mean, you got to shed the gangster mentality, and shed off any self-destructive ways that's self-destructive of our people as a whole. We believe, however, that revolution will become a reality in North America. When a government oppresses people, we have a right to abolish it and create a better one. That is a constitutional right. Number 10. We want world revolution. Our people are brainwashed by television, to allow to your vision, radio, media, schools, and by the books that are selected for them to read in the school. That's why you also have to give them additional books if you have children, or be autodidactic, which is teach thyself. And books to oppose our friends in other countries fighting for their freedom and to embrace our enemies. No longer will we believe in these lies because we have learned who the real enemy is and who our real friends are. We believe it is our duty to support Marxist revolution everywhere, though our principal task is to build public opinion and independent institutions in preparation for Marxist revolution in North America. The imperialists think and act globally. We must combat that by doing the same. That's the 10-point platform of the Noble Young Lords Party. Now, let's get into this. To the nitty-gritty of the Underlock and Key show. All right. Now, for the Underlock and Key show, the first thing we're going to hit is, for Noble Young Lords Party, we also stand in solidarity with the Modern International movement. So what I'm reading, I can show you right here. Let me just turn this around. Right here. Reassessing cell structures 5 years out, and the resolution on cell structure. So let me just read the resolution on cell structure. And you can see Modern International movement, resolution on cell organization, against individualism in party organization and party history. All right. Give me one moment. I know it's Friday night, you know what I'm saying, but I'm here educating the people. This is the time I educate after work, during lunchtime, All right, political education, agitation. All right. Now, this proposal is a complete break with previous communist security practice. Alright? The bottom line question is whether we need to keep records of the history of individuals. All of communist history says yes. We need to be able to discern among individuals. As pointed out in the theory of liberalism, however, the ability to distinguish among individuals is ultimately a liberal obsession. Alright? We need to decide whether previous attention to the question occurred because of the new democratic stages that previous communist revolutions went through, and whether it has any applicability in the majority exploited countries. Trotsky, that's where you get the word Trotskyites. Trotsky argued that the best security practice is public attention to individual leaders so that public can defend them, and he accused Stalin of being too secretive on this score, right? Now, Trotsky criticism rings true for monarchists or recently monarchist-dominated countries. Third world countries should not adopt the MIM line on this, the Marist International Movement, Marist International Ministry. All right. Now, in some societies, everyone loves the king, and the king can dispose of your property. But if you encourage people to love their own property and other political leaders besides the king, you win the anti-monarchist struggle. It's that simple. Now, at first, the people become used to thinking of power struggles when the king dies, his relative, and the court struggles to put forward a new king. Now, the next step is to love individuals, not even in the former king's court. They may start by claiming to be from a previous king's court taken over by usurpers. If we think of a leader as an accumulated political capital, right, then of course we do everything to prevent the enemy from taking our leaders, because then we'd be back to having only the king, and getting around the whole mentality is what the anti-monarchy struggle is about. Anti-monarchy. All right. It occurs a step at a time. In that case, emphasizing individuals other than the king is a means of advancing bourgeoisie pluralism, right? And that can be an advance depending on the political situation. Now, the whole idea of a political prisoner is tied in this, right? It means you have to be able to conceive of something the ruler does as potentially wrong and not divinely inspired. Not divinely inspired. To this day, this could be a big problem among China's population, for example. The opposite is the case where bourgeoisie pluralism has dominated for a long time among the population. In that situation, building the political capital of a leader is connected with reinforcing bourgeoisie pluralism and contemplative materialism, not proletarian unity. It is especially the task of the party not to create a monarchist image with the top leader, but to be worthy of voting for a line. The focus as one leader is necessary organizationally when it comes to assigning responsibilities by ministry, like Ministry of Information, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Intelligence, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Security. All right. The opposite is the case where bourgeoisie pluralism has dominated for a long time among the population. In that situation, building the political capital of a leader, right, is connected with reinforcing bourgeoisie pluralism and contemplative materialism, not proletarian unity. Proletarian means the people. It is especially the task of the party not to create a monarchic image with a top leader, but to be worthy of a voting line. No, but to be worthy of voting for a line. Now, the focus on one leader is necessary organizationally when it comes to assigning responsibilities by ministry, but it is not part of the public image we need. Quite the contrary, it is detrimental and amounts to liquidation of the party's role. The vanguard's party role in a country where bourgeoisie pluralism had existed a long time is to be leaders, not follow a leader. All right, leaders create other leaders. All right, that's the youth. All right, to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. To be a good teacher, you got to be a good student. It's a non-ending cycle. All right, the main emphasis has to go the qualification of the so-called rank and file, especially with the line between exploiters and exploited is so key. The key question is whether the party member can recognize exploitation when he or she sees it. Hold up. Wait, this is. One moment. Alrighty, now it says they already have already a lot of pieces of the MIM line that point against previous communist policy on security. Alright, so we see all prisoners as political prisoners, although it does seem obvious that we need to go all out on defending our own, no doubt. Alright, we're confident we can do that better by adopting this aggressive policy toward public opinion building, right? Now, we operate anonymously. We don't run for office. We already had something of a policy of working at arm's length. This Congress resolution fleshes out some theory for the practice. Now, this proposal says that our security is twofold. One, whatever is in public in terms of documents, right? That's our security. Adopting the put the ball in the hole outlook on infiltration is current practice. Now, the cons to this, right, is this. You can't defend against individual attacks without records. So, if you ain't got no records, you ain't got no room for accountability, that's a gray area you're playing with. We will fall out of line with what Lenin, Stalin, and Mao had to do, and we may not have thought through all the consequences. Now, perhaps having personal ego on the line advances struggle and even creates a necessary drive for it. Now, for example, long ago, I put something from Trotsky into written criticism, RCP USA, partly to motivate them to find it. Wow, MIM, Maoist International Movement, is bound win from Trotsky, right? But can RCP USA prove it? All right, nope, they don't study. We Red Stockings argue that when you don't stick with original founder individuals, right, the result is inevitable watering down because those individuals broke through for a reason. Number 5, political capital is real. There are situations where leaders need to be handed sensitive information and not distribute that information everywhere, and in that situation, they have to be trusted. If you do not have that trust, you won't get that information, and struggle will not go forward. Now, Lenin spent a large portion of pre-1917 time circulating on the diplomatic circuit. Probably anyone engaged in systematic armed struggle needs to do the same. There may be some potential that MIM does not rub shoulders at the elite levels correctly because of this policy, and that is true. A potential drawback. At least like to see individuals and know them. Pros. We don't waste time tracking down individual records. You know what I mean? We get in the habit of throwing out messages. We don't keep individual records, and they cannot be discovered if they're not kept. Of course, whatever line struggle we had or origins of that struggle should be put into public usage. Number 2. We disallow outside attempts such as X to put Y and Z because we say we don't care anyway. 3. We emphasize both MIM altruism and objectivity at this stage of struggle by putting off struggles around individuals. Every time they say we struggle for power for its own sake or out of ego, we can say, how is that possible when the public does not know who we are? Alright? How are we benefiting at the anarchists and bourgeoisie individualists always criticize us? We help the public get past ad hominem, attribution error, pre-scientific reasoning, where one's line is seen as far as we can before we lose some natural advantages. Red stockings are historically correct about that when we look at Mao Zedong, for example, and the people who came to water things down after him. Now, the trouble is that we do not believe we can stop that at our current stage of strength and the minority exploited countries. Now, there is labor aristocrat and there's going to be revisionism. Now, I mean, people who revise things, change things up. You know, like, oh, let me put my own spin to it. The only question is how to best advance our position, and this policy does that. It makes the success of the watery revisionists less likely because it takes most advantage of the proletariat's relative strengths. Number 6, political capital is more dangerous than not. Trust should stem from action in the proletarian direction, not knowledge of the individual. The principal task is connected mostly to things that are public, but not widely known or considered. Political capital, yo, man. Yo, hold up. This is a lot of reading. Hold up. One moment. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about because this is a lot of reading, so y'all got to bear with me. I might have to get some coffee. So that's, I mean, that's a lot of reading right there, so... I mean, that's a lot of reading. You know what I mean? That's a lot of reading. So, if I'm not mistaken, I already posted this, right? So, I'm gonna get out of that. I'm gonna get out of that. And what I'm gonna get into is, let's go backwards one more time. All right, go backwards one more time. Okay, we're gonna get into... Hold up. Here we go. Do we need a party yet? That's where we at. Let me get into that. Alright. Bang. Alright, cool. I'm going to go into that. That's more recent. That's May 2021. What I was reading was back like in 2000s. Alright. So, do we need a party yet? Alright. No, we on this party. Yes, we do. Alright, but we got to build this strategically and smart. Alright. Karl Marx was writing at a time when bourgeoisie democracy had triumphed and political parties ruled the day. These political parties represented the various oppressive classes, primarily the bourgeoisie itself. A radical idea at the time was to form a party that was for and by the proletariat. Lenin led the first successful project to build a proletarian party, a communist party, and take power from the hands of the oppressor and put it in the hands of the oppressed. Lenin left us with many lessons on how to do this, how such a party should be organized, and how it should operate. The party as a vehicle for the transfer of power from the oppressor to the oppressed has been a foundation of revolutionary science ever since. That is why we call it the the Marxist-Lenin Mao Zedong method, which is from the mass to the party, from the party to the mass. We deal with dialectical materialism, historical materialism, criticism, self-criticism, look at contradictions, address the contradictions, bring about a solution to move forward. All right. The Marxist International Movement began in 1983. In 1990, the first MIM party, MIP America, was formalized. In 2006, the party dissolved and put out a plan for a new soul structure for the MIM. In 2007, Marxist International Ministry of Prisons formed as a cell. All right. There remains no functioning parties within the MIM today. However, Noble Unionist Party just adopted the Let me show you what I'm talking about. I can show you better than I could tell you, right? So like that. Alright. As you can see, Noble Young's Party basically adopted the platform. See, on July 1st, 2001, Marist International Ministry published a platform which, under due consideration and study, the Noble Young's Party North America enjoins. The Noble Young's Party has expressed clearly in our 10-point program the distinction between the proletariat and the imperialist labor aristocrat. Alright? And then it says we want and we believe, and then that is the platform of the Marist International Movement. Alright? But let me get back to the article. Now, I mean, that's from the PCM of the Noble Young's Party. You know, that's right here. See? Noble Young's Party, Latino Nation North America, Political Compendium Manual. You know what I mean? I'm reading from that. But let me get back into this right here. All right. Oh. So. All right. Yo, my eyes. One moment. All right. Woo. All right, I needed that. Alrighty. So. Alright. It says dissolve and put out a plan for a new cell structure for the MIM. In 2007, MIM prisons formed as a cell. There remains no functioning parties within the MIM today. Continuity and rupture are counter-narrative to GMP history and Maoism. For more on MIM timeline. Alright? Now, a comrade from the USW, which stands for United Struggle Within, Kites hit it square on the head, though. As MIM has said, we really don't have a vanguard. But I thought Kites pointed out a squandered opportunity in 2020 on point. This is our job to seize opportunity out of the objective situation, and especially the crisis amongst the enemy itself. The only thing missing regarding the external factors we can't control is third world revolutionary revolts. But we have no mass support, but 2020 should have been a godsend for, and it wasn't. Now, actually, MIM has never said we don't have a vanguard, alright? MIM has always said the vanguard is the most advanced political line. Therefore, the Noble Young's Party has the most advanced political line, which could be held by a tiny organization, or even one individual when conditions are very undeveloped. What this comrade gets right is our situation remains very underdeveloped. We won't get into a deep analysis of revolutionary forces here. We do think 2020 was an opportunity to expand our influence that we could have done more with if we were stronger. But the essential character of the U.S. population did not and has not changed from 2019 or from 2001. The vast majority in this country benefit from the current imperialist order. MIM Prisons, Marist International Ministry of Prisons, has argued that the cell structure made sense at this strategic stage, even within a Leninist model, because we are not vowing for state power at this time or tomorrow. Another USW comrade in federal prison contends that the lack of a party complicates the task of implementing a totalizing strategy for revolution and building the mass base to carry it forward. Now, this comrade, right, further argues that we need a united leadership to guide us down the correct road now. Now we touched on the inherent contradictions of the cell structure and are reassessing cell structure 5 years out, where we pointed out that it allows for one cell to decide it's time to form a party while others disagree. If only that were the main problem we were facing today. Now the question is, do we need a party for a united strategy? And what are the downsides of moving too quickly into a party formation to try to achieve that? We actually have a question about the weakness of the party structure in our introductory study course. Here are some recent answers. BDS. Bad leadership could cause death of the movement. BDS. Bad leadership. Ocelot. Easier to target and infiltrate. Lash team. Security is more easily compromised. Anden Salvo. More difficult to control and keep organized and focused. The sober soldier. Slacking in security by accepting strangers. Flavor 1. It will bring more of a spotlight on the party depending on its action in the revolution. Anarchy and VA. Prioritizing actions to take. The Jups. Snitches. Spying. Break down organizations. Now, the primary answer and the primary reason given by Maoist International Ministry for adopting the cell structure was security. Now, the second reason offered by comrades here is the fear of putting all your eggs in one basket type of argument. If we can allow for a diversity of approaches, we have more possibilities for success. This could be especially important in the early phases of our development as a movement. If 5 people come together and form a party, all we have is 5 self-appointed leaders. Maoist International Ministry of Prisons often mentions the development of leadership that occurs through the forced self-reliance with small cells. It is when we have cells around the country who can elect leaders to represent them in the party that such a project becomes viable. I was very impressed with underlying key answer to the Patai's book on Tupac. Until now, I did not know that anyone other than myself was aware of the extent the intelligence community is involved in eliminating dissidents of the empire and the psychological warfare against civilians in the United States through COINTELPRO acts under different names. Now, I was astonished to have my innermost suspicions confirmed by Underlock with the elimination of our leaders. We cannot succeed through unity, right? Now, we must adopt independent cells as a model. As you are obviously aware, every time a potential leader arises that can restore basic human rights, identity, and even freedom itself, the United States government is quick to eliminate our leader. And so, you are correct in educating the people through mass education. Hopefully, the people will awaken and do the work independent of any one leader, as a duty to the idea of freedom, not as a part of a bid for acceptance. True freedom can only come from socialism. We face a giant, and truly succeed, we must be very wise. We cannot win by force, yet so let us educate ourselves and know that against our common enemy, we all must fight our own battles. Now, this comrade touches on security, right? Our strategic stage and the strategy of people's war, as opposed to great man's theory. Hold on. Wow. All right. After this, I'm gonna have to cut this off, but I gotta eat. All right. The comrade touches on security, our strategic stage, and the strategy of people's war, as opposed to great man theory. Education is always important, but at this stage, it is principle over the use of force. This comrade approach to mass education as the best hedge against losing the leaders we depend on is in line with the Maoist strategy. of People's War. This strategy involves building a people's army that is embedded in the people. Know what I mean? Engaging in productive work and educational campaigns side by side with the people as we work towards developing base areas. Ultimately, as this comrade points out, Mao Zedong emphasizes on how the people must learn to wage war through waging war rings true. Now, in our culture, social media reinforces practice that put individuals in the spotlight. We must develop ways to utilize the reach of the internet without promoting ideas of great man theory or revealing personal information. Wow, the power just went out. Wow, the power just went out. Yo, the computer just went out. Look. Look, I'm not bullshitting. See? Power just went out on me. So, you know what I mean? That's it. That's it for the Unlock and Key show. My power just went out. I gotta put that shit back on. Hold up. See, it's gonna take a while. Yeah. See, it's gonna take a while, man. So I'm just gonna bust my meal down right now. Yeah, it's gonna take a while for this computer to come back up. All right, but yeah, it's gonna take a while for this to come back up. So you know what I mean. That's it for the Unlock and Key show. I'm about to just bust down my meal right here. For all of y'all, peace, salute, assalamu alaikum, comrade salute, revolutionary salute. One Lord equals one people. Stay noble. All right. As you can see, this flag right here represents USSA, United Socialist States of America. That right there, that's part of the coat of arms for the Noble Young Lords Party. All right, that's what you see on the patch right here, Noble Young Lords Party. All right, power to the people, black power, Boricua power, brown power. Power to all oppressed people. Peace.